Hello! Today we're going to be making some boba cup cookies. The cookie dough recipe is courtesy of Amy's Kitchen here on YouTube. Start off with some softened butter and add your powdered sugar. Then we're going to mix it in until it's completely smooth like this. Now we'll add our egg and our vanilla. Then we'll whisk until smooth. It'll look chunky at first, but just keep going, it'll eventually combine. Once it's smooth, we're going to add the first half of our flour and whisk this in. Once there's no flour remaining, then we'll go ahead and add the rest of the flour and fold that in. Once your dough looks like this, we're going to go ahead and cover in saran wrap and stick in the fridge for 15 minutes. Next step is to add food coloring. I shaped my dough into a giant boba cup. This will help me decide how much of each color I need to make. I'm making my straw green, the tea brown, and the boba black, of course. I left the lid uncolored. Now we're going to wrap this in saran wrap and stick in the fridge, except for the black. The black's going to be separated into 6 pieces. 5 of them I'm going to roll into thin cylinders about the thickness of a straw, and then leave the 6th piece alone for later. We'll wrap those in saran wrap and stick in the fridge as well. After 30 minutes, I pulled it back out, and now that it's chilled a little bit, I'm gonna re-roll these so they hold their cylindrical shape a little bit better. Then I'll stick it back in the fridge for another 30 minutes. Now I'm gonna roll these out one last time for good measure, and I'm actually gonna put them in the freezer until I'm ready to use them. So I'll keep grabbing them out of the freezer as needed. Now we're gonna start making the log of dough. I'm gonna start out with a base layer, just the bottom of the boba. I'll use the tea color and just flatten it out to a very thin rectangle. You can use a rolling pin or just flatten it with your hands. Now that I have the base of my dough, I'm actually going to take a look at the lid really quick and just make sure it's the same length. I want it to be as long as the base of the dough. This will come in handy later. Next, we're going to start adding the boba on the bottom. So I'm going to make 3 indents with a straw, and we'll take some cylinders out of the freezer and place them into these indents. Cut off any excess, but don't press down too hard. You want to make sure they maintain their cylindrical circle-like shape. Next, we're going to take more of our tea dough and press it out really thin. We will cover the boba pearls with it. That way we have a layer separating these boba pearls and the next set of boba pearls. Be sure to press down in between the pearls to avoid air bubbles. Any air bubbles will show up in the cookies later. Cut off any excess. Next, we'll go in with the straws again and make 2 more indents for 2 more boba pearls. Take those out of the freezer and put them in. Then we're going to add another layer of the tea dough. Press down carefully so there's no air bubbles. Now, my dough is getting pretty warm, so I'm going to stick it back in the freezer for about 10 minutes so I don't disfigure the pearls. While we wait on that to firm back up, I'm actually going to work on my straw. I want the straw to be the same length that I made the lid, hence why I did that earlier. We'll stretch it out a little bit and shape it nicely so it looks just like the straw we want. Then, now that these are shaped perfectly, I'm going to go ahead and stick these in the fridge in the meantime. Now that the bottom is firmed up, we're going to go ahead and start working our way up. So I'm going to add another layer of tea, and I really want to make an indent because my idea is to make a smile here. So I'm going to press down some more dough to work with, and then use my finger just to go down the middle and make a crevice. Then I'll take that extra black dough I set aside and roll it out, flatten it, and we're going to fill that crevice with this black dough. This is what's going to make this smile. Once it's fully pressed in, we're going to roll out some of the tea dough to go inside of that little black crevice we made, and you can kind of see that little smile on the end there. We'll add 1 more layer of tea dough before we start working on the eyes. The eyes are going to be made similar to how we made the boba. We're going to press down the 2 spots and take out more of those boba pieces from the freezer and press them in. Then we're going to cover with another layer of the tea dough before we add on the lid. At this point, it almost looks a little bit creepy. I decided to fill that gap between the eyeballs and cut off some excess. That way it doesn't look as scary. Now that we have a flat surface, we're going to add on the lid. And since we measured it out earlier, we know it's the right length. We'll also add on the straw, but it wasn't sticking, so I used my hand to melt it a little bit and then stick it on. And here's what it looks like. It's okay if the ends are scary, we're hoping the inside looks the best. Now we're going to wrap it up. I'm actually going to leave it on its side and wrap it and put it in the fridge for about 3 hours. We really want to make sure this firms up before we slice into it. After the 3 hours, we can pull it out of the fridge and get ready to slice it. I'm actually going to use a bench cutter because it's a little bit safer. Let's see how they turned out. Oh, the pearls held up so well. It looks really good. You can see none of them really got squished. I do want to reshape the bottoms a little bit, but other than that, I think they look great. We're just going to slice until we have lots of cookies. Try to slice them about the same thickness. I did a really bad job at it, but they still turned out great. Here's a look at them before they get cooked. We're going to cook them at 325 degrees for about 15 to 18 minutes. And here's what the cookies look like when they were done. I think they looked really cute. The edges were a little round, so if you want to flatten them out, you can just cut off those edges and eat the scraps. and they look cute this way too. Now, if you're here, you're probably a fan of boba. You should check out some of our actual boba videos. Before you go, I just want to say thank you guys so much. We just hit 1,000 subscribers last week. It's your support that drives me to keep making videos, so thank you so much. As always, if you have an idea or you just want to say hi, drop a comment down below. Thanks. Bye.